had planned to do this via the webcam, but for one reason or another I cannot get a connection. So I'm going to shut that down. Yep. And let's just see what happens. Mm-hmm. 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 Sorry, by the way, I couldn't figure out how to get us in horizontal mode, so I'm in vertical mode. I'm using my phone as a camera because my professional setup doesn't establish a connection for a live stream. I also see the image quality is pretty low, so yeah. Alrighty, there are our first guests. Well, I really hope that I really hope that the image quality jumps up a little bit. So let's reconfigure the position of the camera a little bit. I hope the sound quality improves. Okay, yeah, got that up and running. Well, yeah, let's just get started. I wanted to make this quick so I have something to do this Saturday evening. So I spent all afternoon working in the shed over here. I have several new projects. I was working on a project for project LS400. And I thought I was being very smart, but I overlooked small tiny detail, and that is to fit components before you test fit in components before you want to install them. But anyway, I want to raffle off the capacitor tester that I recently built in the my very first live stream. So there were a few folks, and I wrote the name of everybody who wanted to enter the contest on a little note. And well, yeah, I'm just gonna pick a winner, and then I'll try to get in touch with that person, and then I'll ship it to him or her or whoever. So anyway, let's hustle this around a little bit, and I just draw one. This one will be it. I will draw a second one if the first one does not respond. So the lucky winner is Ruto Povi. Oh, that's a known subscriber from the channel who always responds to my LS400 videos. So that's the first one. If I cannot get in touch with him, I will try a second person. So on the back burner, I'm gonna draw one and do a blind pick. This is this one. So on the back burner is Xen Official. Oh, and I recall him or her. Yeah, it's probably a mirrored image, but Xen Official, who responded to the original video, will be the number 2. Let me write it down on it before I forget it. So, second and first. So, that's the official part of this raffle done. Yeah, not many folks tuning in, but I somehow expected that. Let me see. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I can alter the image quality over here a little bit. That's probably my Wi-Fi connection over here. So, well, that's about it for this live stream. Yeah, unfortunately we had a little hiccup during the setup. I had everything set up and tested with a good camera and a very good microphone, but unfortunately that seems to be the Wi-Fi over here in my little shed that doesn't want to establish. So that's a bit of a bummer. Nope, no more folks tuning in, so let's put this aside. So I've recently been building all kinds of fun little soldering projects. I built this little Christmas tree over there as a giveaway for family, and friends. And also I've done a lot of other little soldering projects with yeah, as I said, I do that as to hone my my soldering skills. Hi there! I paid like 3 or 4 euros for this, and it's a real poor man's calculator because it only has 6 digits, so it doesn't add up to 1 million. It's ideal for poor folks like myself because I waste all my money on these kinds of projects. And over there is my new oscilloscope that just got in yesterday. It's the cheapest 4-channel oscilloscope that you can get, but I think that this thing will serve me well, but I really have to figure out how this works. And oh yeah, it's another thing that I really needed is this little yeah, what is it? A smoke absorber for soldering. It's really needed over here in my tiny little shed. See if you have any questions for the yeah, so cool. Yeah, indeed, it's quite cool, JD. If you're interested in this kind of very technical stuff, but, yeah, it's my hobby. Any questions for me, by the way? I think I'll wrap it up within 5 or 10 minutes. So we've drawn the winner, and well, now we've got time for a little Q&A if someone is interested. I live in the Netherlands, JD. Ah, you too. Nou, goedenavond dan. Hallo. Je mag je vraag ook in het Nederlands stellen, hoor. Ah, hi there. Yeah, greetings back to Finland. First time I see a Finnish viewer on the channel. Yeah, I would say I recall having people online on the channel from Scandinavia, but of course Finland isn't included in Scandinavia, of course. So that's interesting to see. Makes me wonder if there are a lot of people driving Lexuses in Finland, because we have the Lexus content is the center of my channel. That's what all of this started. Well, going quickly back to Dutch for JD. Ja, wat voor spullen heb ik? Ik heb hier heel veel spullen om elektronica te repareren. Een kleine giveaway vanavond was dit apparaatje om elektronische onderdelen, condensators te testen. En ik bouw heel veel kleine grappige dingetjes. Ik zal hem nog even laten zien. I'm gonna put the lights off so you can see the little Christmas tree that I recently made. This little thingy over here. I like making these kind of fun little projects. Nothing fancy, but fun to do. Hey, Cobra Aviation, yes. Lexus, yeah, they are very rare here too. I don't know from the top of my head, but I think of the first generation LS400 that I own, there'll be, well, 30, 40 left maybe in the Netherlands. And I think the majority of that number doesn't even drive. So I try to keep them running, and we currently, yeah, you run into the problem, and that's not just unique to the Dutch situation, but it's a worldwide problem with these cars getting 30 years old. Yeah, parts are pretty hard to come by, and well, one of my latest projects is this is the upstream O2 sensor, and this one I marked it. It's broken. The heater in here doesn't work, and probably it gives a faulty reading too. It's strange issues, but you can't find this original. You can see there is a flange on here, where other models for the worldwide market of the LS400 had a hex over here, so you couldn't put a wrench on there. This one doesn't have it, and you can't replace this by turning it out of the hex or out of the flange. So what you need to do is you need to replace it with an identical part, and that's not for sale. I found one on eBay, and that cost me would cost me $200 US, but I wanted to replace both because the other one is probably on its way out too. So yeah, I had to be smart, and I was kind of smart. I am gonna spoil this a little bit for upcoming Project LS400 episode, but I found replacements, and here it is. And I bought two, and the two of these set me back almost 80 euros, so that's much cheaper, and they are almost alike. They look a very lot alike, and then the color coding of the wires is the same. But the problem is, and then just discovered that this morning, you have this little, can you see that this little flange over here, and that's 2 millimeters too wide. So I have to figure out yeah, to make that work. I cannot put this in a lathe, so I have to be real smart and yeah, just remove a millimeter from the circumference, so it shrinks 2 millimeters in total, and you take it off the radius, of course. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I'm into, and repairing electronics is very necessary. other than the very common leaking capacitors that you have in the several ECUs of the LS400, yeah, there are a lot of other parts that are going to fail, and you can't buy new parts anymore. Supply is really drying up. So here we're at the point, if we want to keep these cars running, yeah, you have to be able to make your own parts or rework other parts. And yeah, that's kind of my hobby, but it involves a lot of thinking, and yeah, sometimes it gives you a headache. So see if any other questions are coming up. Oh, I just wish that the lighting was a little bit better. I had everything thought out for, yeah, this live stream. Okay, question. Oh, what do I think about wet belt engines? Well, I have yeah, they are crap. In theory, it would work. When these engines first came to the market, I wrote an article on that, and the press manager of Peugeot in the Netherlands wasn't all too happy with it, and they demanded that I would write a, what do we call it, an editorial piece, or withdraw certain statements in that article, and I didn't do that. And well, I wasn't the only one with that opinion, and all of us were proven right. In itself, the engine characteristics, they aren't all too bad, but yeah, it really is so dependent on oil quality and oil changes. And in my opinion, these engines are engineered to meet emission standards. That's one, and they use very thin oil for that. And if the engine lives through its warranty period, the manufacturer is already happy. If they would have to engineer an engine that would meet the emission standards and at least last 500,000 kilometers, the engine would be much more expensive. So yeah, they in a way it is sort of planned obsolescence. Yeah, they are really bad engines. That's just the way it is. I've seen for Ford wet belt engines, the smaller EcoBoost. Yeah, those are EcoBoost engines. There is a manufacturer or a supplier that has developed a timing chain kit. When you have that on, I think it's a relatively problem-free engine, but of course it still is a downsized turbocharged engine, so the load on the bearings, the connecting rod bearings and the crankshaft bearings is very high. So that will, yeah, and they still use very small clearances, so it's heavy, reliant on very thin oil. I haven't seen anything like that for the PSA engines, but yeah, it relies so much on the right quality of oil. It could work with high quality oil and do very often oil changes, 10,000 kilometers, and take off your sump every time and inspect the mesh in the oil pickup tube. Then you can make it work. Or yeah, you can buy a Lexus with a 1UZ FE V8. That'll last you 1 million kilometers. But yeah, fuel consumption and road taxes and insurance is a bit higher. But yeah, that's the way it is. So yeah, I personally would avoid any car with a wet belt engine. That's the way it is. I've seen too many broken ones, unfortunately. So, wait if we get any more questions. By the way, Cobra Aviation, does that answer your question? If you have any further questions, just let me know. Let's see. Yeah, kind of what you expected. I can imagine that. Yeah. Nowadays, it's just pretty hard to tell which engines are good. As you may know, I for the real life car reviews, I only drive Japanese and Korean cars. But even if you look at the Toyota engines and the oil specifications, where you have a 0W6 oil, it's apple juice that you put in there. It's real thin, and I can see why they done that. But and then you look at the oil change interval. I don't know exactly what Toyota prescribes nowadays, but yeah, I would do regular oil changes, 12,500 kilometers, maybe 15,000 kilometers. Problem with hybrids is that they have a very long warm-up period. You yeah, you start a car, you're going on for a drive, and every now and then the petrol engine kicks on, and yeah, and it immediately shuts off when you're coasting. So you have a real long warm-up period, and yeah, that puts a lot of stress on the oil. Lubrication is poor, get a lot of inclusions, blow-by gases and moisture in the oil, and people tend to think, yeah, it's a hybrid, the engine doesn't run all that much, so I don't need to change my oil every 15,000 kilometers or every year, but just do it because of the many start stops during the warm-up period. You get a lot of inclusions and a lot of hydrocarbon hydrant build up in the oil, and a lot of moisture gets in there. So yeah. Okay, you might have Suzuki Swift soon. Yeah, yeah. Oh well, that's a no-brainer. Cabra Aviation. If you have a choice between the Suzuki Swift and the Peugeot 208, yeah, especially the Suzuki engines. I don't know which type you have. If you have the previous generation of the Suzuki Swift, no matter which version you have, especially the booster jet engines, the 1 liter. And what do you have? Is it a 1.4 from the top of my head? They make much more power than the brochure actually states. I've tested the Swift Sport a couple of years ago, and in the brochure it says it has 140 horsepower, but in reality it's closer to 160 horsepower. They make much more power than what the brochure actually states. And if you do regular oil changes and your maintenance to your car, that car will last you a lifetime. Oh yeah, and the newest version of the Swift has the C12E engine, and I did an in-depth article on that, and it's a mighty interesting engine. You make, in comparison with the older booster jet engines, you make a step back. You now have a naturally aspirated engine, a 3-cylinder, but that thing is so incredibly overbuilt that it's built to last twice the lifetime of the car. And I think if you can get it with the all-grip all-wheel drive, it's also a fun car to drive in Finland, where all-wheel drive of course makes much more sense. So yeah, that would be a very wise choice, I would say. Let's see if we got any further incoming questions. Not all that much, but that's somehow what I expected. Let's see if I can get in touch with the winner. Oh, in general, I have a question about the content on the channel. I have my project car of course, the Lexus LS400 and the smaller Toyota Starlet. I do the car reviews, but I was just wondering if there's any other subject or kind of video that any of you want to see. Just let me know, even if you re-watch this live stream afterwards. Gonna clean up a little bit over here and dial back my kerosene heater, otherwise I would suffocate. How do you get new cars to review? Well, I've been working automotive journalism for quite a while. It's all over 15 years now. So I do have a network. I get directly in touch with the importers. They know me, I know them, and well, I just ask for cars. What you maybe a lot of people aren't aware of this, but normally the importers have a press fleet. That's why you see often the same cars. In the Netherlands, it's a situation where a car has a license plate, and that license plate is unique to that car. It stays with that car for its whole lifetime. Oftentimes you recognize the cars by the license plate in several media. So many of the cars that I test are featured in other Dutch media too. But these are in a press fleet from the importers, and well, depending on the size of the media platform, uh, yeah, you can get cars. And the reality is that the larger platforms get invited to press launches, and I've been there. I've done that. Not much, because I don't like flying. I'm not afraid of flying, but I have neurological damage that makes flying a bit more complicated for myself. But every now and then I attend press launches, press meetings, and I drive there by car. So it's on European mainland. I drive there by car. And yeah, that's when you're in that position as an automotive journalist, you also yeah, can just ask for cars to test it if they are available in the fleet. And that ranges from the real cheap ones to the real expensive ones. So that's how I get my cars to review. Oftentimes I pick cars that are on the market for a bit longer, because if you have a brand new car, what have we upcoming now? For instance, you have the Mazda CX-80, the 7-seater version of the CX-60. Everybody wants to drive that car. It's just been launched, and if I want to drive it right now, I can drive it for a couple of days. But that means picking up and bringing and returning a car takes a full workday for me because of where I live up north. And then I have maybe one day to film, one day to do the photography. Yeah, that's too short. So I much rather drive that car next year, early next year, so I have it to my disposal for a week. I was trying to figure out, is the sound quality a little bit all right? How is the sound quality, by the way? Okay. Yeah, I realize that the image quality is pretty poor. I think it's probably the Wi-Fi. It's going up and down a little bit. Um, or the kids may be watching Netflix or something that eats up the Wi-Fi too. So just wondering, we'll see if there's any questions coming in. Otherwise, I'll wrap this one up. As said, for the folks that tuned in later, I draw the winners for the little capacitor tester over here. Very handy if you're in the business of fixing Lexus LS400. The winner is Ruto Povi, long time subscriber from the channel. And if I cannot get in touch with him, I will try to get in touch with Xen Official. So I can see there's quite a bit of delay in the live stream, or what I'm recording, and what's on screen right now. Well, that's the way it is. I don't mind. So I'm gonna put those aside. Okay, yeah, Cobra Aviation. Well, thanks very much for tuning in and for your questions. Be happy to answer any further questions, and thank you. Have a nice evening, and I think I'll wrap up this live stream. Gonna clean up a little bit. Okay, folks, I think I'm gonna wrap up this live stream. As said, I try to get in touch with the winners. Everybody, thanks for tuning in, for watching. Thanks for your likes. And well, if you have any questions, I have my email contact information in the channel information box. So please don't hesitate if you have any questions, ideas, or suggestions. Just get in touch with me. I'll respond to every email and every comment that I receive. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. And well, it's fun doing these live streams, but it's even more fun if the technology works. So thanks for now, and thanks for watching. Bye.